minutes. Sister Pat Live just ended. I'm gonna get set up here. And oh goodness, we got a little bit of stuff to talk about, y'all, but we going in a slightly different direction. Hopefully, it will be no politics. If I have anything to do about it, it's going to be all um, spiritual stuff because it's a lot spiritually going on, and we have a lot that we need to do. Sorry, I'm trying to get this thing so it won't do that. All right, so we got a couple more minutes. Just let folks get on in here, and I'm gonna start running my mouth at 9 o'clock. But while I'm thinking about something, or while I'm oh, I forgot. So we're gonna have to have a conversation eventually about tobacco and its healing properties. And we're gonna have to have a discussion about wine, I guess, and spirits. We'll have to have another discussion at some point about it's a lot of stuff, but tonight basically is about wielding the power. We have to do it. And oh, let me wait a couple more minutes. Okay, 3 more minutes before I start going in. Um, just enjoy the DC Go Go. The only city in the whole country that still has a thriving live music scene, which you would never know. Um, I really want to do like a concert or something, but uh, we'd have to get enough people to DC. Which why would anybody want to come to DC? So that's sort of not a good idea. All right, I'm gonna wait 3 more minutes. This is gonna be the longest 3 minutes. I don't like silence. Um, let me see. Oh, I'm gonna get my asterisk. Oh, I forgot. Okay, we definitely have to talk about this. I think I have everything. I think. Let me see. Hope everybody had a good week. It's been a very long week, like the longest week ever, almost it feels like. So hopefully, y'all are doing all right out there. And we're going to turn it up in just a few minutes. Y'all already know it's Friday night. This is like your prime time lineup. That's what it feels like. You just go from one live to another live, and after this live, Black Magic got a live. If I don't pass out, I usually watch this stuff the next day. I usually catch the rewind because it's just so much going on here. I was on mommy duty all day. I had to, first thing in the morning, wake up and make 50 pieces of chicken, which I'm fasting, so I couldn't actually taste it. And apparently, this was the best chicken I've ever made, which I wouldn't know. So it's kind of like been one of those days. All day I'm around chicken, I'm seeing chicken, I'm smelling chicken. I'm like, I cannot eat this. This is very frustrating. So we're gonna wait 1 more minute, and then we're going to go directly into the business. And it is a lot. It's a big business that got to be handled. Um, and I have no idea any other way to say what needs to be said. So we're just going to do the best that we can, say it the way that we got to say it. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. And the people who will catch it on the replay. So, this live stream is about wielding the power. And the thing about wielding the power at this time is that it is extremely important for us to do so. After my Evil Eye video, I was very concerned And like I mentioned, because um, basically people can do the evil eye on you and they don't even know that they're doing it. And so that concerned me tremendously because you have two-thirds out here who's extremely angry. You have people who will see you shine and be extremely angry about that. And they could be doing this stuff to you and they don't know that they're doing it because it's just how the universe works. And you don't know that they're doing it to you. And it could come from anyone and you really don't know where it's coming from. So that really concerned me. And so what I the approach I take to stuff is I try and solve problems. Um so while I was looking for a way to solve that problem, which I think that video came out just before Halloween. So my solution to solve that problem was Big Levi has kept telling us we had to use the light in the dark. And so my solution was not my solution to that problem, because my solution to that problem was, again, I did the video about the keys, get your evil eye little symbol. Um, there's a lot of African jewelry, not this necklace in particular, but a sister sent me a necklace that she has with the beads that have circles with filled in holes and stuff like that. That's basically an evil eye. So the whole thing about the druid circles, that's the druid version of the evil eye protection. I mean, there's no other way to get around that. So I didn't even want to do a whole video on that. We just tied that up with a nice, neat little bow. So that is the whole thing about the druids and the druid circles, and even Stonehenge is kind of like it's a round, it's a circle of stones, and it's filled in with grass. So basically, that's like an evil eye for the planet. You know what I mean? And so this is what all those like a campfire where you have a fire in the middle that's like the eyeball and then you have the people sitting around it. That's basically kind of like an evil eye for the forest. You know what I mean? So people do this kind of stuff. You can see it everywhere. So I'm not going to go into too much detail with that. But it just kept being pressed upon me that we have to use the light and the dark. And we have to use the light and the dark. And how can you wield the power if you're not willing to wield it from the perspective of the light and the dark? Because on one of the live streams, Brother Blue Pill was like, he said sometimes his wife says he's too much love and light. And you can't only be love and light. That's not really how it works. You have to be willing to do both sides. And so, um, what I'm suggesting is you wield the darkness in the same way that you wield the light. And however you do that is, how you would do it. But we have our one of our patriarchs, King Solomon, as our example. He had the demons doing all kinds of stuff. He had them building roads, he had them working. And so, in order to rule this kingdom, we have to also be willing to do that. And I will be the first one to say that it is quite terrifying. It's not the kind of thing that if you're new that you just want to jump right into. However, those people who are advanced, mid-level advanced, whatever, past the introductory phase, you've done one or two 40-day fasts, it might be time for you to think about, ask your guardian angel, how can I wield both sides? And they will let you know the best way for you to do it. But we have to start thinking about that because here's the issue. And I shared a video from a gentleman that I had a conversation with a few weeks ago. And it's actually, when I say I wasn't sure like how I was going to say this information. Like I said, I've talked to a few sisters and said I have no idea how I'm gonna tell people this. I saw that video just before I decided to do the live, and I was like, okay, so I have to do this because he said the same thing in the video basically that I had been saying, but he didn't have an answer, but I have an answer. And so he had said in the video, actually, it's a few very interesting things he said. He said one of the things he said that the demons that we see are us. And I have heard many people say that, but he literally describes which version of us they are. There's your thinking demon, there's your feeling demon, there's your willing demon. And if you haven't done any, work on that, then you will have a more difficult time dealing with them and they will be a lot scarier. But once you start doing the work on yourself, then you can deal with them and you basically what he said was because apparently he was an exorcist, which I think I knew, but I didn't really know. And so he was just talking about his experience as a young person under 18, going around to all these black churches. And when you see him, he is certainly not uh, our color, but he went around to all of these black churches and he could speak in tongues and he could lay of hands. And he was like the person who comes up behind the person when they're getting ready to do those healings, the real flashy ones at the revivals. He was a person that would tell, if a person could be healed by just a touch and all of that. He had very extensive history in that kind of arena, which I knew instinctively by the fact that I've been following so long that his experience was not in no just Catholic church. Like, no, 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 no. That's he don't talk like that. He talked like he had real life experience, and so but anyway, the point is the question that he was asking was how he said he's been exercising, people and clearing out ghosts and all stuff, for 40, 50 years, something like some crazy amount of time. He started when he was 14. So since he was 14, he's like 60 probably now, right? And he's like, how what do we do to keep these demons from going into people and terrorizing them or going into places and terrorizing them? What do we do? And I had been thinking about this question. Like I said, I had come up with the answer. And the answer is we have to do like King Solomon said and put them to work. That's the only way to deal with this situation. There's no other way to deal with these negative entities except to put them to work. And I don't care if someone calls it voodoo, hoodoo, sansom, whatever you call it, I don't care. The point of the matter is, until some righteous people decide to put these things to work, number one, the Gentiles are just going to have free reign over them because, and you know what they do when they get free reign over these things? They use them and they abuse them and they torment them and they make them do stuff that they're not supposed to do because, again, everybody has to follow the cosmic law, everyone. And the difference between the angels and the demons is the angels will not break the cosmic law and the demons are willing to break the cosmic law, and in exchange for something, meaning i.e. your soul, they get to torture you, whatever it is, their vices, they do it in exchange for something. And something he said about the people who were like demon possessed, he said they all invited the demons in. That is how they became. There's no like you walking around and all of a sudden a demon possesses you. That's not how that works. Right? Alchemize those energies, but he he said that people they always invited them in, and usually it was at a young age, like young, young people, and so we have to we have to put those energies to work. Alchemize, that's the perfect term. We have to alchemize those energies and have them doing something productive because if not, the Gentiles are going to continue to do their thing and we're never going to be able to wrestle back power when they have control over so many entities. And it doesn't feel like it's going to take a lot. I know that there's already brothers and sisters out here doing this, and it's just I need to encode it into the ley line. Y'all know how I am. So I'm putting it into the ley line that we need to wield the power over the light and the dark. And you have to figure out what the best method for you is. I use my pendulum. It was still terrifying, and um, I'm here to tell it. I don't look or sound no different than I ever have. And, like I said, I ain't invite nothing to come in nowhere near me, on me, any of that, But at the same time, I just send them with a task, like just go and do this. Go and do this. I don't care how long, just go and get it done. This is your task. And so we have to, like I said, it's terrifying. Me, since I use my pendulum, I did it under, let me see, it was on Monday because I used Gabriel. So yeah, I said, I used my Gabriel pendulum, and I was like, I need her to be on standby. This is quite terrifying, and I live to tell the tale. So that means that that's information that has to go out to people. It's not what people want to hear because again, everybody tells you that it's only love, it's only light, it's only happiness, it's only this, it's only that. And it can be a lot of that. But the energies on the other side, we have to know what to do with them. We have to know, we have to take control over them. We have to wield the power. We have the power. That's clearly obvious. Um, you know, that's clearly obvious that we have the power. We have to actually wield the power. So I wanted to get that out of the way first. It is the most important message that I have for this live stream, which hopefully won't go too long. But I really need people to put it to their guardian angel, find out what's the best way for me to give instructions for these things to go and do something. Because otherwise, um, there's no way to wield the power if you can't run the whole kingdom. See, because in the kingdom, like I was talking to one of the sisters, in a kingdom, you have to deal with the people you like and the people you don't like. And you have to be fair. Like you want to be like our patriarch King Solomon. So how did he deal with people? I always go back to this example of the women with the baby, like that's how we have to be. I'm sure he didn't like one of these women, or he didn't might not like either of them because they sounded crazy coming in talking about somebody stole somebody's baby. That's crazy. But what did he do? He said, okay, well, the easiest way to solve this problem is to cut the baby in half. Let's just get it over with. And he was ready to do it. So we have to be like that. Like, this is how you become a friend of the Most High. This is how you are able, make yourself capable of not stepping in his place at all, but walking in his footsteps. This is how you walk in his footsteps because one thing I found out during my experience is that the only one who can punish these mother suckers is the Most High. So you have to go to the Most High to get your permission to do this, but then you have to go to the Most High if they don't do what they're supposed to do because he gonna have to come in and he's gonna have to handle it. You know what I mean? There's nothing that you can do. You can't do anything. The Most High is gonna have to handle it, and so it's very it's just one of those things where, like I said, I have to put it into the ley line. We have to at least start thinking about it, and hopefully the whoever this message is for, you get it, because I have been terrified to deliver this message because I know what comes with it, but somebody has to do it. And Levi has been saying it, but I'm saying it more directly. You got to use both sides. You can't only use one side. You can't be happy, happy, happy all the time. You can be happy, but you're gonna have to deal with the dark side of things too. So there's no way to get around it. So that being said, I'll move on to the next thing. So I suggest to people, this is just a suggestion, if you live in an area where they have a botanica, a spiritual shop, especially one that's for like I said, either Santa Maria or voodoo or whatever, go in there. I highly suggest you go in there And if they have homemade spiritual soaps, you gonna want to get you some. I went into the one that I go to around here. I think they might must do Santa Maria. I have to. I think so because I think so. But I went in there because I had been getting my soap from there, and the last time I bought soap, all they had left was like this Love soap. Um, and it was no problem, you know. So and it worked really good. It was Herbs of Oshun. She called it like Sweet Love or something like that. So it was cool. So I went in there. I've been in there 3 times since, and they didn't have no soap. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need some soap. What is going on? I can't get any soap. So I went in there yesterday, and they had literally just restocked all their soap. So a couple of soaps that I got now, everything is in Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish, so there's always a language barrier. But she wrote the names of the soaps on, so I had her explain to me what all of them did. I got one that they called Two Rivers, which was for the herbs of Oshun and the herbs of Yamaya, and then I got one that was specifically to work against. They called it Tomb Witchcraft, which to me means black magic. I got one that was specifically for money. I got one that was specifically for um unblocking. I got two of those, gave them to the fellas. And I got one that was for just bad luck, like if something bad happens to just wash with it. It's just bar soaps. So I suggest you go in there, and if you're pendulum initiated, take your pendulum with you. I didn't because I've been in there a bunch of times, and I already knew what I want. I already knew what I was looking for when I went in there. And it was just all set up, so I didn't need it. Because I knew what my mission was when I went into that store. So I highly suggest that you find whatever little backwoods store near you. If they make soaps, just get some homemade ones. I mean, the pre-made ones are okay, but if you can get homemade ones, that's even better. And just look for ones that do different things. And even if you don't need it right now, the angels will tell you when you're going to need it, and then you can pull it out and just use it. You already have it there; it's already ready. Um, so that got that out the way. All right. So about the video I made earlier. So this morning I had come across this information in this book, and I still haven't quite figured out exactly what's going on yet with this book, but it seems to me as if I uncovered like something that they were planning. And the reason why I say that is because back to my thing here, I keep this in my room. I keep this it's actually like right in my sight, like when I lay in bed. I keep this whatever room I'm going in. If I'm going upstairs to do my thing, I'll take it with me. I keep this thing with me. And um so I'm sure it was the influence of the shape. And something I wanted to point out again, you have the microcosm right here, right? You actually have an evil eye protector right here with the eye and the fact that it's basically a dot right here because it's got a line here and a line there. So it's like an eye here. So you have an evil eye protection. And then, of course, you have the Zion, which is, okay, from here, Z, I, O, from here, N. I know I'm backwards, but. And then you have, that's on this side. And then on this side, well, also on this side, you have we can make the soap ourselves, but see the whole thing is I have a book if anybody is interested on the goddesses and of the I can't what is the name of that book? Hold on. So you can make the soap yourself, yes. You just have to get the herbs and all of that stuff. It just takes more research. So I'm definitely not saying not to make the soap yourself because typically that would be my go-to. I don't see the. Hold on. What is the name of that book? Mm, I haven't done anything on my iPad. That's why. Hold on. Let me find out. Oh, it's called Orishas, Goddesses, and Voodoo Queens. Orishas, Goddesses, and Voodoo Queens. And it's got a bunch of the divine feminine. It's actually a really good book. So, Amanda, if you want it, I'll put it in an email to you because I have the PDF. Anybody else wants it, of course, just email me. I'll get back to emails. This week was like the most busiest week I've ever had. So anyway, back about to this sigil. So if you saw my video about the part of fortune, the part of fortune is right here, this circle with the X through it. That's the part of fortune. And the part of spirit is this right here with the line through it. That's just the part of spirit. And then the part of love is this circle right here with or actually it will be a slightly bigger circle, but with the heart like this. You see the heart. So this symbol has the three, which is the part of love, the part of eros, or the lot of eros, specifically. So this sigil right here has got all of those in it. And I noticed that immediately. And then when you turn it this way, you have the upper and the lower, but it's almost like you have the sands of time. And talking to my generation, she had did a video where she was talking about the time is not the same time for us, and that's why he said, Elder Elman said in his video, this it was like this for all this time, and then all of a sudden it went to like this. That's because the time change. Our time and their time is not the same time. It doesn't move the same. It moves different because this is an hourglass. In this way you see a clear hourglass. So I just wanted to point that out. Um Another thing is, okay, so I am going to try to record this video tomorrow with the Lord have mercy. The this information I came across about tobacco. And so a lot of us have been told that tobacco is really bad for us and it's going to kill you and it's made of pork and a bunch of stuff, right? But in this particular thread, I was really, first of all, let me go back. Last week, Brother Rich had on the brother that talked about the cocaine and tobacco in with the mummies, right? And so, and he talked about tobacco in a way that I didn't know that it really comes from here and all of this stuff. And I knew that because my grandmother, her that's what they did. They farmed tobacco for one of the rich families in my community. So people be like slavery ended. I don't know about that because my grandmother and them, they sure was living like slaves. But that's neither here nor there. So um but I did know that tobacco was one of these things, especially being from Maryland. Maryland's tobacco country. And so what I found out, or what when I read this thread, I found out that it's even deeper than that because a lot of the shaman, they smoke cigarettes and, well, like tobacco, like pipe tobacco too. And that's why you always see in the pictures of the writers and the thinkers and the this and the that, they are always smoking. Why? Because there's an angel over that. It was like, holy smokes, all this time, my grandmother on my dad's side, she would smoke. She had big cigars, cigarettes. She smoked that stuff. Then she would drink too. That's another thing we have to talk about a little bit more because it's different when you are using stuff like the Gentiles. Again, the Gentiles do everything backwards, right? Yeah, see, we come from a smoking, especially tobacco, but any smoking is a maternal trait. We women did it just as much as men, ain't you? We did it much just as much as men because of the spirit that comes in it. So what I was saying was the shaman, if you go to they said if you at some ayahuasca ceremonies, and if you haven't done any looking into ayahuasca or anything like that, there's a brother Oyi Sun. He talks about bufo and mushrooms and toad and snake venom and all of that. I would refer you over to his channel if you're looking for information about that, because I don't have any firsthand information to give you about that. I just don't have it, so I can't talk about that. I'm talking about this. I do have experience with tobacco, so that's something I can understand. So because I would smoke cigars, especially when I was like younger, I smoked cigars all the time. So um not younger, when I worked at the restaurant, because where I was working, we did a lot of events with politicians and stuff, and they would always want cigars. So we would have cigar events where people would come in with the cigars and blah 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 blah. It's just a whole bunch of things. So I just have a lot of experience with that. So they would take the smoke, so they would smoke a cigarette or something, some type of tobacco, and blow it in the face of the person who was getting ready to do the ayahuasca, to kind of open them up to what was getting ready to happen next. And I thought that was so strange until I was thinking, oh, there's an angel in that. That particular angel of the tobacco is one that helps bring you clarification. So when people smoke like menthols, though, that has the additives in it. So I did some research. Well, not really, because it was actually in the thread that the guy did. I'm gonna have to read it. But so these are the cigars that I typically I will always have. I don't really smoke them that much, but I always have them around. And these are like good introductory ones. These are Tatiana's, and they're really small, super tiny. As you can see, they're already pre-cut, so you don't have to get a cutter and all of that. And they're really small. And if you've never smoked before, cigars specifically, and I would probably do this with all cigarettes, because you don't want the actual stuff to get into your lungs. So with cigars, the way you smoke a cigar is you inhale the smoke, you just roll the smoke around your mouth, and then you blow it out. You don't inhale it and actually put it into your lungs. You just pull it in, you just literally pull the smoke in, roll the smoke around your mouth, and then blow it out your nose. That's it. Now, what people do with like marijuana, that's a totally different technique. It's not the same as with cigarettes. With cigars, especially cigars, you pull it in, you roll it around your mouth, and then you put it out your nose. And if you're not already breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, that's a whole nother skill. We'll probably have to do a lesson on that. It's very important to learn how to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Especially when you have to start working with the magnetic fluid, because with the magnetic fluid, you basically feel like you make yourself feel like you're underwater, but you have to be able to breathe. And so if you are working with the magnetic fluid, then you have to remember to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. It has to be natural. So I'm just telling y'all that now, so that's something you can think about. But with cigars, it's the opposite. You breathe it, you pull it in through your mouth, and you blow the smoke out your nose. So I'm not saying you have to go out and buy cigars right now, but just look into it, because there's a lot of we have to rethink everything. This is rethinking for me too, because like I said, I would always, since I would smoke cigars, like I don't know, once or twice a year, I would always just buy a pack because I'm around guys, and sometimes, like, oh, you got something? I'm like, well, I got these cute little cigars. It's like a status symbol. These things are pretty expensive, so I would just always keep, a few around. And then the one that they recommended in the thread was this particular brand of cigarettes. These are made with organic tobacco, allegedly. Um, and the ingredients are just tobacco and water. As you can see on the back, this box you see is $9. I got another one. Oh, it's over there. It literally says organic. Yeah, there's no end to this information. It's so much you don't even know where to go with it. So anyway, so you just want ones that are as natural as possible. So no menthol, don't no additives. I just found out that they have a brand of these that have no filter. So I'll probably be out looking for that tomorrow because the filters are made of plastic and stuff like that. And I had one yesterday, not of this one, but of the blue one, which is the organic one that I bought. I saw while I was out, and it's different than cigars, and so I think it would probably take a little bit of getting used to. Um, but that is to say, I, all I'm saying is just look into it because there's an angel over this. There's a reason why they tell you that these things are going to kill you and all of that. And there's also a reason why all the way up into the 60s, women smoked. I seen a picture of Jackie Kennedy with her stomach out to here with a cigarette hanging out her mouth. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with these people? Gentiles, man. They keep the good stuff for us. They tell us a bunch of trash. They give us these menthols when whole time there's, if natural leaf tobacco is a totally different thing. So I did want to say that. So just something to look into it. Again, ask your guardian angel, if it's something that you should try or think about or whatever. Um, so did I talk about that? I think I started talking about that information earlier and I got off track. Um, yes, the information from earlier. If you didn't see the video that I posted earlier, I'll just repeat myself because I can't remember if I should have made a list. I'm gonna start doing that. Yeah, that book. So the whole thing about it is I started reading a little bit of it. I skimmed through some of the pages, and it's called the Omnidoxy, and that's a book I'm gonna have to rewrite. I can already. I already feel it. It's not it's way too much weird stuff with that. So the feeling I'm getting with that book, The Omnidoxy, is that they were going to use that as a philosophy to herd all the people into, meaning it doesn't take the place of church, so you would still go to church, but the thing that kept jumping out to me when I was doing the video and then when I went back and re-listened to it is that somehow you have I don't even know how to describe this, but somehow you have this 16-year-old that has written this document with 1.2 million words, but they keep talking about the worship of the progeny, which is the child of the student of you're worshiping the student of the child of the cosmos. And so that makes me think that they knew that we were going to rise up and they want to be able to herd the people into s- worshiping, the cosmos instead of worshiping the or, or they want to say, "Oh yeah, we'll worship the children of the cosmos." Well, we really worship the cosmos instead. I don't know that I turn to my number is 9, right? So I turn to the nonodoxy, right? And the very first line is a uh it's a new word. So I was just thinking, okay, you mean to tell this book looks like the key like an expanded version of the Keys of Enoch. And I was like, okay, so you have a 15-year-old who wrote a book that's bigger than the Keys of Enoch. Do you know how insane that sounds? With new terms, new words, new ways of thinking about stuff you've never seen before. There is no possible way that that information came from, when it came from, who it came from. None of that stuff can possibly be true. So I don't know why they would choose to put this under this. See, what reminds me of, and I was talking to my friend about this, what it reminds me of is how they did Zuckerberg, you know. And if you don't know this story, I'm gonna just do a brief little synopsis. Because I've been following this story for a very long time. The actual people who invented scalable social media is a man named Michael McKibben. And he spent over $1 million developing scalable social media. What happened was his son, two different things happened, which is crazy. One thing that happened was his son was actually a student. First of all, he didn't know he had been tracked this whole time. When I say tracked, I mean he was getting jobs he shouldn't have been getting. He was going in places he shouldn't have been. He had doors open that were really weird. He did all kinds of different stuff that shouldn't have been able to happen to him. Some of it was his angels, and some of it was they were tracking him. And I'll get to that part of the story in a second. But his son went to Harvard and he shared a room with Zuckerberg. Crazy. And so, right, these people didn't do it. They just copied and pasted. And this guy, if you look at my video earlier, again, you will see that they did not even complete his website. So whoever put this scam together didn't even do a good job. It's a horrible scam. I would never, there's no way you could get me to believe this scam. Maybe they thought they'd have a chance to finish it before anybody found out. But they got caught. I got it on record. It's on my phone. So, and it's on the internet and it'll be backed up. It's anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not worried about it. It'll come back, even if it was stolen, which it hasn't been. I'm just anyway. So this guy, his son goes to Harvard. He ends up in the same room as Zuckerberg, and his father, Michael, emails the son a white paper of what scalable social media is, and Zuckerberg steals it. At the same time, you have he goes and hires a the Michael goes and hires a patent attorney, right? And the patent attorney is a black dude. I found out he recently died, and when his obituary was full of great stuff. Recently found out he went to one of the mega churches in my county. So of course, you know everything. When I say the hidden eye, y'all think it's a joke. This man was probably one of the most evil men on the planet. He stole this man whole idea. When I say he stole it, he followed this man. I won't say his name. I'll just say Michael's name. The patent attorney followed Michael and his team for the longest, and he kept begging him for a copy of his work so that he could protect it. And so he kept begging him and begging him, begging him. And then when they were getting ready to go to the next stage of the patent process, he had to give it to the patent attorney. The patent attorney stole it. The very next day, they had that conference where Google, Facebook, all those companies were all started. They gave this man software to everybody, divided it up, and said, "Here, take this, go and do what you're going to do with it." Gave it away to IBM Eclipse Foundation. And so after that happened, Michael couldn't figure out what was going on with him. It was really crazy. And they sued the patent attorney and nothing happened. They took their case all the way to the Supreme Court. You could look it up. It's called Leader versus Facebook. The name of his company is a Leader Technology, called Leader versus Facebook. Took it all the way to the Supreme Court. Justice Roberts has Facebook stock. Everybody got Facebook stock. They don't disclose that. They rule against him, and that's it. He's out of millions of dollars developing the technology, literally millions of dollars, because he paid for it from private investors, from where he's from, all his people, whatever. They came together and they paid for this for we the people. You know, they're American first type people. So for we the people, let's just leave it at that. And so here's the thing. When you see that happen once, it's one thing. But I've seen that happen over and over again. There was a gentleman, let's use black people. There was a lady who had a clothing boutique. It was called Blue Ivy. It was open for 20 years. Beyonce gets pregnant. They decide, based on the stars and gematria, they want to name their child Blue Ivy. They trademarked the name, didn't talk to the lady at all, trademarked the name, didn't give her his, and she had to close her store. They sent her a cease and desist letter. This is how these people operate. And so once you see that once, twice, I mean, I can name dozens of times where I've seen people do stuff like this. Somebody had an idea. They did it to me all the time. When people wanted to get their stuff popping, they would come to me. Oh, do you have any ideas on how I can do this? And I would give them a whole marketing plan, A to Z. I'm very good at that. Take the plan, make a lot of money, don't give me nothing, $0 and 0 cents. And this happened over and over and over again because I'm a generator. That's just what I am, emotional authority. So I can do stuff like that. And so I say that very long windedly to say this: whoever they took this book from, wherever, first of all, I'm fairly certain it's some of King Solomon's writing because I was actually thinking about reading some of, like, just doing a separate channel where I just read like the Wisdom of Solomon, and I still may do a separate channel, but I'm just going to read out of this book. Of course, I'm going to edit it for our people because it's got all of this extra stuff in it that I'm sure was not in there because it makes sense. The way that it's set up, it makes sense. And it's written just like all the other books. So now we have a history of reading books around here. I've read several books like this, not read them whole from the back, but I noticed the terminology was the same. Just like they used a term in there, I said in a video about agency. And I said, well, wait a second. It's only one group of people that uses that terminology of agency. And how does this guy fit in there? And the fact that he's British in London, again, like I said in my video, a lot of evil stuff comes from out of London under direction of the Queen, which we know from one of the sisters. So, and which we know just, I mean, I know just from my research about the Queen. So, this person, if he's even a real person, I've sent it over to some of my friends to investigate to see if he's actually even a real person. But if he's a real person, if he even really exists, um, he's in London. He's right now 24 years old. He has this document that's 1.2 million words long that he said only he wrote by himself. They specifically said he wrote it by himself. That's the part that was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You wrote of document at 16, 17, 18 that's 1.2 million words by yourself with no inspiration, and they like cover it up by calling it militism, which make me think of militarism, like, or materialism. They just try and cover it up because the guy that is named after is a character that he's writing a book series for. The book series is not even done. So, and they say how many books are going to be in the series and everything. It's weird. It's just like it just don't sit right with me. So, I'm going to be getting into that book and breaking it down and rewriting it in a way that is for our people because obviously it's that important that it was literally forced down my throat, and I'm like, this is, and there was so many things that were wrong. And then they call it astronism. Yeah, astronism. But then when they say things that is similar to, they call it sophism. So, of course, Sophia, that's a wisdom. So you mean to tell me this is the orth omnidoxy, wisdom omnidoxy? That automatically tells me Solomon. So anyway, I did want to talk about that a little bit because it was such a strange book, and it is 2,000 pages. Um, like 2,000 pages. That makes absolutely no sense. So I did want to bring that up too. Um, and I do want to do a reading on a angel reading on Kyrie, but I can't find his time of birth. So if anybody out there has ever seen his time of birth anywhere, please let me know. I've been looking for his time of birth, but I can't find it. So I don't really want to pull his angels because then I'm going to have to go through and use my pendulum, or I'm going to have to use my pendulum to try and confirm the time of birth, which is kind of like, I don't know. That seems like a lot of work, and I I don't know. I just don't know. I'll have to try and I may try that. But if anybody actually sees his time of birth anywhere, you might want to do that. Another thing is that if you are doing like a bunch of spiritual stuff, I highly recommend something I noticed. This is something I did. I got me a little small shot glass like this big, and I filled it up with some, I have some one Everclear here that I'm using to try and do my experiment with the what you call it, the condenser fluid. And so I filled up a shot glass and I just set it like on my Bible, and I would say after a day or two, it was like half gone. I said, well, it didn't evaporate because Florida is like wet. So it didn't evaporate. I think a little bit of it did spill, but not enough. It wasn't enough. And it didn't even, the what I saw spilled didn't even smell like Everclear. So I don't know. Yeah, I got his date, but I need the time because you can't really pull it could be a if he was born if I just knew if he was born in the morning or the night, then I could do like 6 a.m. or 6 p.m. or 9 and 9. I don't know. It's like the time is the hard part. Um, a Mars report on him. Yeah, I mean his. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk about Kyrie. Because I really want to do a reading on him, but I can't. Like I said, I can't find his time of birth, which is what I really need. So So anyway, I recommend if you're doing some kind of spiritual work, you get yourself, especially if you have angels, whoever out here doing a bunch of work for you, going and getting stuff and bringing you information and stuff like that. Just pour you a little shot glass, it doesn't have to be a lot, and pour you a little bit of something in there for them to take as they go about doing your stuff, because it's hard work out here. They want to be appreciated. And so I have that sitting out as my a little bit of appreciation for all of the hard work that they're doing on all the missions I have them on, bringing me information like this weird book that I don't even know what to do with. And I have sent this book, and I will send this book to anybody who will look at it because I have no, I really don't have any idea. And I feel like it is for someone specific, not necessarily me. Like I'm going to go through it, but I really feel like it's for someone specific who's not me. So, yeah. So, yeah, put yourself out a little shot glass. So, another thing is, now we're a little more than halfway through our Daniel fast, and I realized that we could use this Daniel fast a lot, especially like for our Thursday fast and stuff like that. But it doesn't work if you don't already consume the things that he's fasting from. So one thing that I plan on doing once the fast is over is having one glass of sweet red wine a day, and that way when I can't have it, it's an actual something I'm taking away. And also some sweet bread every day. um and meat, or I already eat meat every day basically, but I'm going to make sure that I put those things into my diet regularly so that when I do have to fast from them, that it'll be an easier fast for me, or not easier, it'll be more meaningful because I'm used to drinking wine and then I have to actually give it up. Or I'm used to uh eating sweetbreads, and then I have to give it up. So that's just one of the things that I thought about. I was like, I want to what? No, you had dessert. Remember, we already discussed this. These kids, man. Um. So anyway, point of the matter is, if you're going to look for something to fast from, then you want to make sure you already have it in your diet. So again, for me, I think that's why they made the Daniel fast the way that they did the Gentiles, because they knew people already. A lot of people didn't drink wine. A lot of people didn't eat sweetbreads like that and meat and stuff. So they just tried to make it hard by like making it a raw thing. So we don't. I mean, again, I don't want to do what the Gentiles are doing. I want to do what makes sense and really what some canonical text said instead of some thing that these people just make up. Not the stuff that we do, but the Gentiles, they just make it up and they make it hard. So, yes, I'm going to add sweet wine to my regular diet once this fast is over, and definitely sweet bread. So, you might want to just think about. Shalom, shalom. These are just some things to think about. I'm not saying you must or shalom, shalom. I'm not saying you must or anything like that. This is just my suggestions. Um, I basically done, but so the people who are just coming in, you'll have to rewind it back and catch it from the beginning. But I definitely want to encourage everybody to, whatever you're doing, if it's praying, keep praying. If you're just observing, keep studying. What we're doing is working. The Most High is having respect upon what we're doing. And, our powers are certainly going to be turned back on soon, but again, you can't have powers if you're not willing to control the light and the dark. Only those who can do the light and the dark are going to be able to control, are going to be able to have access to their powers. And so don't be mad, if you're loving light 24/7 and you get upset that, your two-thirds partner is the one who gets their powers activated and you don't, because the two-thirds partner has a pure heart, maybe, and, good intentions generally, and maybe they don't study anything, but they are willing to work with the light and the dark. And so those are the ones who are going to be able to ascend, because it's like this. Now that I'm thinking about it, like I said, talking to my generation TV, she had a really good video a few days ago when I missed it, and I went back and watched it this morning, and I was like, she doesn't even understand how right she is, because um I put a comment on her video, and basically what it is on November 7th and 8th. So while we're in the midst of the blood moon, while we're in the midst of the solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse, I mean, you also have a solar conjunction of Mars and Mercury on the 7th and the 8th. For 2 whole days, they move from degree to degree together. And remember, the sun, that's the Father, the Most High, and Mercury is where our guardian angels are. And so this ties in directly. Yeah, you got to use dark and light. This ties into directly into what um Sister Ramona was saying, because our our guardian angels are the ones who work directly with us. If you remember my celestial hierarchy video, our guardian angels are the ones who work directly with us. So they would be the ones who would turn on our powers. Why? Because they would be the ones to have access to that. And remember, the conjunction we had the other day was, there was an exchange of spiritual keys between what? Pluto, Mars, no, yeah, Pluto, Mars, North Node, no, the moon. Pluto, the moon, and North Node and Mars were all, three of them were in 25 degrees and one of them was in 26 degrees. Mars was in 26 degrees, I believe. And so the keys were already exchanged, because I was wondering what that conjunction meant. I was like, well, I looked at the degrees, but it didn't really, nothing jumped out to me. So she brought that overstanding to me. So that whole thing is the keys were already exchanged between Pluto and the moon, and now we had the solar eclipse that was first, that already happened. So the exchange went one way. Now we're going to have the exchange. So the moon gave the keys to the sun, now the sun is going to give the keys to Mercury. That's going to take 2 days. Mercury and the sun are going to track together for 2 days, and then after that you have from the 8th all the way to the 19th. You have Mercury and Venus tracking almost the same degree. They're right close to each other, which basically means they can exchange information because it's like a 3-degree orb where the information can be exchanged basically. So from the 8th all the way through the 19th of November, you have Mercury and Venus tracking almost the same degree. They move together every single day from the 8th into the 19th. And then on the 19th, they're in the same degree, but it's only for one day. Only on the 19th. And then after the 19th, they start getting it, the whole what rotation, I don't know, it changes. They're not running in the same degree anymore after the 19th. So we have, you know, now kind of like till, well, the 8th coming up. So this is really not going to be good for them because the energy has already been given from Pluto to the moon. The moon already gave it to the sun. The sun is getting ready to give it to Mercury. Mercury is getting ready to do something with Venus. Because she basically, because she said in her video that when Venus and the sun were in the same degree, that was like the mother and the father, and then it was a birth of something, right? And so during that birth, maybe that's what the sun gave the moon, put its input into that whole process. I don't know exactly. Of course, this is probably something I can go and look into a little bit more, but I just wanted to give y'all the overstanding that I had. But basically, whatever is going to happen on the 7th and the 8th, um, the book that I was talking about, just send me an email and I'll send you whatever it is you ask for. Send me an email. Um, because I am going to get back to my emails. I'm trying. So the sun and Mercury are going to be in the same degree on the 7th and the 8th. Then you have that lunar eclipse, and Uranus is also involved in that because one of the videos I saw, it passes behind the moon, it passes in front of the moon, and then it passes behind the moon. So Uranus is also involved in that, just in the actual way that the planets are going to be moving. So it's a lot of energy on that 7th and on that 8th. But one thing I do know is that we already got the spiritual keys. Those keys have been exchanged. The keys have been birthed. The keys have been exchanged, and our guardian angels are the ones who are going to give it to us. And so this is a very good time to, if you haven't, develop a relationship with your guardian angels, with your team, with as many members of your team as you can. Pick certain members to work with. Always good idea to try and work with the elementals. And of course, most importantly, light and dark. You got to figure out how to do that for you, what that looks like for you. I think the problem with organized, uh not religion, but even organized, you know, initiation processes, and organized groups in general. The problem with organized groups in this regard is that they have a way that they want everybody to do the same thing. And the thing I like about this whole concept of the omnidoxy is that you bring your own independent way of operating into the way that you interpret their main clauses, basically their main tenets. And so you don't have to do the same thing as the next person, because when I was reading that book, the Oshira's um something and Voodoo Queens, whatever, that Oshira's book, um the lady was talking about righteous darkness. Exactly. that is the best way to describe it. We have to do it. It's not anyway, I talked about it at the beginning. I don't want to go too deep into that except to say that in the book, the woman who wrote the book was describing how a person had gone into a particular ceremony and they didn't know which goddess was going to be assigned to them, and then they found out it was this one, they found out it was that one, and all of that is fine and well. I'm not saying that organized groups don't have their function, but at this moment we need to be working directly with the angels, the goddesses, the archangels, the Most High. We need to be working with our team directly. You know, we can't rely on someone else to intercess for us. We have to intercess for ourselves because there's going to be a time when you're going to have to intercess for other people. And so if you can't intercess for yourself, you're not going to be able to save yourself. You know, it's going to be much harder for you to be saved, and then you're not going to be able to help anyone else either. And I know on my channel what we try and do is we want to be beacons, so when somebody has a problem we can tell them how to solve their problem, and they can take it or leave it, and we can be a hub for, you know, bringing ideas, getting solutions together. That's why we're studying together. It's not a teach type thing. I do lessons just, but I go back and listen to the lessons myself as if I never heard them. So like I said, a lot of times I don't know what I'm saying until I go back and I listen to it, and I'm like, oh wow, that was really interesting. I can't believe I said that. Let me look some more into that, or whatever. I hear different things. So we're all studying together, and but the Gentiles can't study. You know, the two-thirds, you know, some of them will be able to and some of them won't. And so even if they are going to study, we have to have a place to lead them. So again, like I've been saying, what I'm doing is I'm thinking about when somebody has to work with me that's outside of our circle that we already have within the nation. You know, I'm off the break. Look, I'm not talking to you until you say Psalm 51 every day for 30 days. Or I'm not even talking to you until you do the boiling pot and you've done at least a 7-day fast, you know, sun up, sundown. I can't even have a conversation with you about anything spiritual. That's the basis of my payment. Like we're gonna start right there because if it really was impressed upon me that we are going to have a lot of work to do to help people deal with their demons. And the reason why I say that is because in the right, exactly. Exactly. So in the video that I was talking about earlier, Douglas was saying that in the Catholic Church they have initiated or allowed or permitted, given the rights of exorcism to even the parish priest because there's so much evil just floating around the planet that people need, they even, he said they even give the people prayers to go home and exercise their own demons. You know, this is how many demons they have running around here because no one's putting them to good use. People are just, you know, demanding money from them and sending them to do crazy stuff. And that's not any way they can be redeemed by that. Because again, everybody wants to be redeemed. But if you're going to be redeemed, you have to be bought with a price. And the demons can't be bought with a price. They don't have any hope of redemption. However, that doesn't mean that they don't have feelings. That doesn't mean that they don't need love and attention and all that. Of course, they need attention. They probably need more attention than the angels, and the angels need a lot of attention too. And we're ignoring them and all the stuff that they do for us. I mean, again, when you look at the lots, we just discovered 95 whole angels, other angels, more angels that's in your regular chart assigned to you just from the lots of fortune that they have all these different ways of calculating. So, you know, this is not a little a small thing, you know. And so if there's that many angels running around, you know, and they're doing stuff to help you, you got the same for every angel, there's the other guy. And so that's 95 angels and 95 other guys that you could have running around doing stuff for you. But unless we're willing to, and that's just in this one example, because again, I'm still looking for the angels of the seconds because on your chart, you have degrees number first, and then you have the seconds number second. So I'm still looking for the angels of the second. So that means there's 60 of those. So you mean you got all these 12, then you got 60 more somewhere. It's all kinds of information. Like there's all kinds of there's probably more spirits floating around here than people. And we don't have them doing anything. We do have a lot to do. It's a little overwhelming, but that's why I just want people to take one piece at a time. Work with your guardian angel. Make sure you have a really tight, close relationship with them, however you communicate with them. Again, I always recommend the pendulum because it's super easy. And you can get a yes or no answer. And it also forces you to think in binary questions too, which can be helpful when you're trying to communicate with somebody who is a poor communicator because yes or no questions are easier to answer. If you're trying to find out what's wrong with somebody and you can't break it down to a yes or no question, a person who they may not be able to answer a question that has more than yes or no. So you really want to be able to ask yes or no questions. So, anyway, that's very important. We do have a lot of work to do, but we're capable of doing it. And the Most High has given us authorization. He's given us access. We have all the tools we need. We just have to learn how to use those tools. And so, I definitely wanted to come on here and deliver that message. Um, Again, I didn't link Sister Ramona's video, but I'll put a post with it in there. Go and check out her video. It's a really, really good video if you haven't talking to my generation TV. And then I linked the video about with Douglas talking about his experience as an exorcist. And you definitely want to watch that video so that you can have an understanding of what that looks like from like I would say Douglas is a regular person, what that's kind of like from a regular person. Plus, he literally grew up with going to black churches, so that gave me a totally different perspective on some of the stuff that he says. And he also told me that the the information in the Key of Solomon was completely accurate, and that actually gives me a different perspective now, knowing that he used it. He knows it works because he had to actually use it. So we're not using fake stuff over here. This is stuff that's literally real, from a person who was using it way before you could even talk about it because they could never tell anybody about what they were doing, but this is what they were doing. They were just telling people they was doing something else. So, you know, we do have a lot of work to do, but it's not overwhelming. It's overwhelming for me because I have like four times as much work to do as I thought, just to try and keep up with the way the information is coming out. But so yeah, check if my you didn't see my video earlier, check it out. Please download that book, store it somewhere, in case they try to pull it. I don't know because I'm probably going to start reading from it, and I know that's going to be a problem. And it does have a lot of words in it, so you're going to have, like me, I had to stop and look words up. No problem. I don't care. I want to know what this word means. And a lot of the words you need to say them out loud because when you just read them on the paper, the actual root word doesn't. What is the problem? Okay, just put it down. What? Okay. Um yeah, it's got a lot of words. It doesn't The words don't make sense unless you read them out loud because I don't know what it is about this. I don't know what it is about these Gentiles. Actually, I don't know if it's the Gentiles or if it's our people. The way that we write, we just add yes. No, it's time to go to bed. What time is it? Yeah, it's 10 o'clock. Time to go to bed. Um, I don't know what it is with these Gentiles, whether they add words to make it more confusing, or if it's our people, the way that we write, we use so many words so that you would understand it. I'm not sure which one it is, but if this is one of those lost books of Enoch, which it seems like I said, just the way that they talked about stuff reminded me of the keys of Enoch. Immediately reminded me of the keys of Enoch, and I was just like, this is really weird. This book reminds me of the keys of Enoch, and I'm not really sure why that is. um but it definitely gives me that Enochian feel. So but yeah, anyway, regardless, I don't know what mess they're trying to put on top of it, but we're going to take the meat out of that book and we're going to use it to the best of our ability. I have not read the keys of Enoch. I can't even get through the research I have to do from day to day. I'll go to it to look up certain concepts, but I haven't even got to. It just gives me the feel. I read some of it, and I've seen other videos where people were talking about it. So I have a feel for the language, and it has that same kind of language that's kind of like far off in the future, like that futurism type language. So it's real. Anyway, it's called omnidoxy, so I'm always going to refer to it as omnidoxy. I don't That guy has not a you the craziest thing is, I just thought about this. He says on the website there's 12 tenets. When you download the book, there's 13 tenets. How can you Who put together a website and it says that it's going to have 12 tenants, and then you turn around and download the book and it has 13 tenants? Well, Sharice, the book that I'm talking about is free. Just download it so that we have copies dispersed in multiple places in case they try to pull it down, like we weren't supposed to get access to this book. But it was really impressed upon me, like really really strong. I'm in the middle of running around like a maniac, sending out text messages. Look, download this book. I don't know what it is, I can't make heads or tails of it, but download it before they take it. And because I don't understand why I have no idea what. And this book came out in 2016, like I said, when y'all got the books of remembrance and stuff like that. So it seems to be on the same timeline of the rest of the information being revealed. But the way that this book is, oh, that's why I was telling a story about Facebook. I forgot all about that. So that being said, I know when they're propping up people, I can read a story and see when they're propping up people to be the face of something. And that's what it seems like with this guy. Because when you go to his website, I put all the links in the video. When you go to his website, he has there, it looks like they're trying to make him some, leader or something, you know what I mean? So it just seems very weird. It just it doesn't sit well with me. And being that I'm under the strict protection of this sigil, it definitely seems like this brought that book to me, because this when I first saw this, I got the same kind of feeling, like, wow, there's so much in there, but I don't know what this even means. I feel that same way about this book. Like, wow, there's so much in this book, but I don't exactly know what it means yet. And so we're going to yeah, there's nothing there. His website is not even complete. Like, I couldn't even understand, like, how do you have a and the document has 1.2 million words. Like, I would I could ignore everything else. I couldn't. I could it would be less important if it didn't have 1.2 million words. That is a lot of words, and it's all new words. That book is not written with words that you've ever heard before. And the way that they use the words, they have to explain each word because they're using them in a totally different context. And so it seems very important. So anyway, no, his age doesn't match up. His look doesn't match up. He's very cowboyish. So I just don't know what's going on with that. And again, we're gonna have to just ask the Holy Spirit to come in. But I can tell you one thing, this it must be important because it was just impressed upon me so very, very strong. And so anywho, I'm not going to keep you guys any longer. Please, if you miss any of the video, go back to the beginning. I did go through a bunch of stuff really fast, no political stuff, all spiritual stuff, and so this would be a little bit different, you know, for people. And I have a few videos coming out tomorrow. I don't know exactly which ones I'm going to get to first, but I'm probably going to do this one on the tobacco now before I go to bed, so y'all have that in the morning. And then it'll definitely be some more videos tomorrow. So, again, we're going into Sabbath. This is a good time to study and refresh and, talk to your guardian angel, and just ask the question, how do I use the light in the dark? And, you know, you'll get an answer. My thing was I had to get the soap and the this and the that and doing a bunch of little stuff, but you should be able to come up with something. But if you seek, you will find. If you knock, the door will be open. So if you're not asking, how do I use the dark and the light, then when we get turned on, when the light switch gets flipped, you might not get flipped with the rest of us, because me, I'm using the light in the dark. I expect to be flipped any moment. Like, go ahead and turn me on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready, So you want to be ready for whatever the Most High has next. This is the forward movement we're making, and I think it is good to keep up with the current events and all that stuff, so you can figure out how to put it in your mind for yourself. And I just also suggest that along with that, you are putting in the same kind of spiritual work. And if you do pay attention to what's going on with your brothers and sisters, and you putting in the spiritual work at the same time, you'll be able to see a lot of great things happen. And so I'll definitely put some videos out tomorrow. If something absolutely insane happens, we'll be back on here for a live. But otherwise, you'll just get some research videos from me tomorrow. And boy, this stuff is so crazy. I don't even have words for it. So let me get back into the books. To the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be in peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom, everyone.